Conference, it comes to a time this afternoon where I am going to welcome our guest speaker, Lee Saunders. Lee is the president of the American Federation of State, County and Municipal Employees, AFSCME. As one of the biggest unions in the USA, representing 1.4 million members in communities across the nation, serving in hundreds of different occupations, from nurses to correction officers, childcare providers to sanitation workers. Lee was the first African American to serve as AFSCME's president and was elected president at the union's convention in 2012, having previously served as the secretary's treasurer. He grew up in a union household in Cleveland, Ohio. This inspired him to join the Ohio Civil Service Employees Association when he began working for the Ohio Bureau of Employment Services in 1975. His father was a bus driver and a member of the Amalgamated Transit Union. His mother was a community organizer, and after raising two sons, returned to college and became a community college professor and a member of the American Association of University Professors. He began his career with AFSCME in 1978 as a labour economist. He has served in the capacities as Assistant Director of Research and Collective Bargaining Services, Director of Community Action, and Deputy Director of Organising and Field Services. Lee also served as an executive assistant to the president of AFSCME. In a September 2024 profile, the national magazine described his reputation as unequivocally savvy and influential political strategist and policy advocate, calling him a working-class intellectual who trained as a labour economist but has always maintained the enthusiasm of a grassroots organiser. He served as Vice President of the AFL-CIO Executive Council, which guides the daily work of the US equivalent of the TUC, and is the chair of its political committee. He is President of Working America, a NAAPC board member, the treasurer of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, and he is now leading the fight back against the Trump administration's attacks on workers and civil rights as set out in the Project 2025. Project 2025 aims to gut federal, state and local budgets. It wants to slash essential programs like Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid. And it is an all-out assault on working families. Conference, please join me in welcoming President Saunders, and I very much welcome hearing from him.
Well, that was a long way coming down from that stage. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, now let's start again. You know, I flew all the way over from Washington, D.C., flew over the big pond, so I'm going to ask that question again. Good afternoon, everybody. How is Unison doing this afternoon? Now, that sounds a lot better. Sounds a lot better. I want to bring you greetings from the 1.4 million members of AFSCME in the United States of America, people who provide essential public services every single day, all across the United States. And it truly is an honor for me to be here, to be part of this international delegation, to be reminded once again that our movement for workers' rights, Our movement for human rights truly is a global movement. I'm also enjoying my first visit to this magnificent city, where four of the biggest stars in the history of rock music were born and raised. Now, who might that be? Who might that be? You know, a long time ago, when I was a teenager in Cleveland, Ohio, the 1960s, the Beatles were larger than life. So I never imagined I would be speaking at that time in Liverpool. And get this, on Paul McCartney's 83rd birthday, no less. Did you know that? 83 years old. So happy birthday to Sir Paul. Now, let me give some shout outs real quick. I want to thank Maureen for that kind introduction. She read it just like I wrote it for her yesterday. Okay, it was perfect. It was perfect. I also want to say hello and extend my gratitude, talk about the friendship that I have with your own General Secretary, Christina McEnany. We have known each other for quite a while. We've worked together. We strategized together. And we fought together. Christina, I want to thank her for the leadership that she shows every single day. And I want to thank her for the friendship. Give her a round of applause for what she does. Now, I may surprise some folks. We went out to dinner last night, and I saw two folks that I had not seen in quite a while that are connected with Unison, along with other organizations. I mean, they are actively working to support working families in Great Britain. That's Dave Prentice and Liz Smith, and I think they're sitting back there somewhere, okay? Give them a round of applause, I mean, for what they do. They're part of the Unison family. Now, we at AFSCME view Unison as our sister union. We truly do. Like you, we are a union of nurses and caregivers and librarians and social workers, paramedics and public safety officers, school bus drivers and sanitation workers, and countless other public service workers across our country. We call our members the everyday heroes because they truly are. Everyday heroes who keep our communities safe, healthy, and strong. And we're proud to provide the public services that millions of people rely upon in the United States every single day. Now, we at AFSCME have a motto. That motto is simply this: we make America happen. Our members make America happen. So today I want to say to all of you, public service workers who are part of Unison, you make the UK happen. Give yourselves a round of applause for what you do and your commitment that you show every single day. You know, the kinship between our unions comes from the deep and abiding values that we all hold and that we share. We are bonded by our unshakable belief in the power of workers to come together and make life better for themselves and for all working people. Together, our unions have built a strong working relationship. In good times, we root for each other, AFSCME and Unison. And in hard times, we stand as one. We stand together. You know, back in 2018, the United States Supreme Court issued a ruling that powerful corporate interests believed would bury my union, bury AFSCME, destroy us, and wipe us off the face of the earth. This court decision made the entire public sector in the U.S. right to work. Now, let me be clear about that. In the United States, right to work doesn't mean eligibility to work like it does in the UK. It means the right to take a job and benefit from union representation without paying any dues. We became right to work in our country. So naturally, when this ruling came down, the billionaires thought they finally had finished AFSCME off and other public sector unions. But we were determined. We were determined every single day to prove them wrong. And you know what? We did prove them wrong. Because we not only fought back and organized and mobilized and educated our members across the country, but we actually grew in this crisis because we went back to basics as far as talking with our members one-on-one. We had 1 million individual conversations with our members across the United States. We not only talked to our members, but those potential members who weren't paying dues, and we asked them to be a part of something bigger than themselves. We had those conversations, talked about the difference that unions make, public service unions in the United States, and we survived Janus. We not only survived Janus, we are thriving because of the programs that we put in place and the activism that our members showed. And we look to Unison for advice on member recruitment, on member retention, and on innovative outreach like your Unison call center. And as a result of our AFSCME Strong program, our membership is growing. And much to the dismay of the billionaire class, American support for unions is growing as well across the United States. We've got to keep that momentum. Keep it up. Move forward. I want to be clear on this. Unison has stood with us, and AFSCME will always stand with you. We provided insights on how AFSCME home care workers have used strikes to win better pay, talking to your folks. We celebrated when you won a Labor Party majority last year. We celebrated that fact. We're going to have to do some work in the United States to get our own house in order. And now we're cheering your progress on your historic employment rights bill. Look, writing and passing laws is, as Lennon and McCartney might say, a long, winding road. We are on the cusp of changing millions of workers' lives for the better by ending zero-hours culture, expanding sick and bereavement leave, protecting parental rights, and giving care workers, school staff, and others a fair shot at a brighter future. You've made it this far because you have done the work. You have elected strong allies. You have put the issues that matter in workers' lives front and center. You've mobilized overwhelming support for this bill. And now, you aren't there yet, but victory is within your reach. That's what union is all about. That's what solidarity is all about. That's the power of our members and working families around the world. So I know you're going to keep pushing. You're going to keep organizing. You're going to keep fighting. And you're going to win. Isn't that right? You're going to win because of what you do every single day. Now let me give you some very sad news, things that are happening in the United States. I only wish that we had a strong pro-worker majority in the United States Congress. Instead, we are navigating one of the toughest political moments in our country's history. Make no mistake about it. Our government has been taken over by billionaires and anti-union extremists who are attacking us every single day, ruthlessly and relentlessly. The wealthiest people on God's green earth are doing everything in their power to kill our jobs, crush our freedoms, and silence our voices. Every day our Congress is inching closer to passing what President Trump calls his one big, beautiful bill. You've probably heard him say that if you've been watching the news. But let me be clear. There is nothing beautiful about what they are considering right now. Get this. If this bill becomes law, roughly 15 million people will lose their health care, just like that. 15 million people. Plummeting revenues will force hospitals and care facilities to lay off workers and even shut down, close their doors. Schools will struggle to meet students' needs as 3.5 million Americans lose food assistance. These are the facts. Nobody is disputing this. This can happen. And for AFSCME members, state and local budget shortfalls will mean hiring freezes. It'll mean layoffs and a much tougher time at the bargaining table. At every turn, working people will pay the price. Also, the super rich can buy more yachts, buy more jets, and put rockets into outer space. These are the same billionaires who want to privatize public services and take away our voice on the job. This legislation is part of an extreme and anti-union agenda known as Project 2025. Now, Project 2025 has an online tracker celebrating all the damage that it's already done over the last 6 months, withholding federal funding for our schools, hospitals, and research centers, weakening workplace health and workplace safety, stripping federal workers who are in unions, stripping their collective bargaining, taking it away from them, and moving to install a new class of political cronies loyal to Donald Trump and Donald Trump only. This is a nightmare, but it's a nightmare that we've got to deal with. And here's the real kicker, and something that we've got to figure out. They talked about doing this in the election last year. They talked about it. And we had working families and union members supporting this ticket. Because we didn't do our job as far as educating and mobilizing and organizing our communities. And I want to be honest about that. We didn't do what we had to do to stop this onslaught. Let this be a cautionary tale to all of you in this room. If it's happening in the United States, under the conditions that exist in the United States, if something happens here and the politics change, guess what? It will happen here as well. And let me tell you something. Very much like the Reform Party in the UK, the so-called MAGA movement in the US wins by serving working people a toxic cocktail, toxic cocktail of misinformation every single day. Talk about economic populism and anti-immigrant vitriol. And it is, and make no mistake about it, a potentially strong strategy that could possibly work if we don't get our acts together. And that's what we're doing. The trade union movement across the country in the United States, our friends and allies in our communities across the country. We're working together, we're coming together to fight what could possibly happen. You know, and make no mistake, if Trump is successful in our country, the roadshow begins all around the globe. He's already saying, I run the country and I run the world. He's telling people that. That's what all these terror threats are about, bullying nations into submission, and don't think for a second he won't turn his back on the UK if it suits his bottom line. What is happening in my country can happen anywhere around the world if workers don't come together and if unions don't grow and become stronger every single day. This truly is a make or break moment for the American democracy, and that is no exaggeration. And there's a growing sense that the eyes of the world are now right on us, looking to see what we're going to do. As the president sends military troops into our cities without legal authorization, as immigrants, documented and undocumented alike, are kidnapped on street corners, outside schools, even from hospital maternity wards. This is happening. This is reality. As American citizens, including a prominent California labor leader, are violently detained and brought up on bogus charges simply for making their voices heard and peacefully demonstrating. I got to tell you that these folks have no shame. There is no law they won't break, nor democratic norm they won't shred, no power they won't abuse if we the people don't stand up and fight back. We've got to stand up and fight back. We cannot be silenced. We cannot be fearful. We've got to raise our voices and organize and mobilize and educate and fight like hell so we can regain the rights in our country. Make no mistake about it. You know, AFSCME has a great history. And in moments like these, I often draw inspiration from one of America's greatest civil rights leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. In 1968, Dr. King came to Memphis. Some of you probably know this story. Came to Memphis to support striking sanitation workers who happened to be members of AFSCME Local 1733. He wanted to end the poverty wage scales. He wanted to support ending the appalling working conditions that these 1,600 African-American sanitation workers were experiencing every single day. And during an iconic speech the night before his assassination, Dr. King said this: "Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." Well, these are dark and uncertain times, but we at AFSCME are not lost in the darkness because we can see our North Star. And our North Star has always been organizing, getting organized every single day, mobilizing and educating. That's why our campaign right now, we call it Get Organized, or AFSCME Go. And we are 100% into this, and our members are 100% into this. It's about turning this crisis into an opportunity to protect our jobs, to defend our freedoms, grow our membership, and build our power every single day. Our Go campaign is using every tool imaginable to inform, educate, and mobilize members. When workers hear what's going on, when they understand their jobs and their livelihoods are at stake, they get fired up and they want to take action. But you've got to talk to them and give them an opportunity to talk to you back. And we have to listen to what they have to say. But more importantly, we've got to ask them a question at the end of those conversations. And that question is, will you join us in this fight? Will you join us in this battle? Through the AFSCME Go program, we are recruiting more members to become grassroots activists. We are turning up the heat on politicians who betray their promises to us. We are bringing AFSCME members to Washington, D.C. to make the case against the proposed federal budget that could destroy us. We're building the resources to defeat the anti-worker extremists in 2026. We cannot lose sight that we can change what's happening in Washington, D.C. today only if we vote in 2026 at the federal level, at the state, local, and the local level. And we're going back to basics. And although we have grown in the past, we're going to grow more in the future. And our commitment to external organizing will continue twofold. So we're having one-on-one conversations with workers who, by joining the union, will give them, that they understand it will give them respect and power, decency on the job. And we're making space for diverse opinions because we don't always see eye to eye. Now, I know everybody agrees with one another here in this room on everything, right? Well, we don't, okay? And I know you don't either. But we work it out. There's nothing wrong with disagreement. There is something wrong if you don't wrap it up and work out those disagreements and develop an aggressive course for the future. So we haven't lost hope, and we aren't going to lose hope. We have been in fights and battles before, and they'll continue into the future. But one thing that we have, I believe, is that we never give up. And we never give in. And that's what the billionaires are believing is going to happen. That we're going to give up and we're going to walk away. Well, I got to tell you, they underestimate our resilience and resolve. They underestimate our capacity to organize and mobilize. And they underestimate Americans' overwhelming support for the freedom to organize in a union. And we're going to continue to fight like hell for that every single day. They have underestimated us before, and they're doing it again. But I promise you, everyone in this room, that we're getting organized. We're going to fight back like never before. We're going to give more workers a voice. We'll build our power. We will train more activists and knock on more doors. We will turn out the vote and elect strong pro-worker allies. We will defend the public services Americans count on, and we will stand up. We will stand up for the rule of law. So I just want to urge all of you. I want to urge all of you to learn from our experiences. We talk. Your leadership and my leadership, we talk all the time. We invite them to our conventions and we come together and we challenge one another to do the kinds of things that we do best. And that is organizing and mobilizing and educating our communities. I challenge you. I challenge you to be fearless. I challenge you to call out lies and disinformation. I challenge you to speak plainly, boldly, and unapologetically about who you are and what you stand for. You've got to do that every single day. I challenge you to make the case that public service workers' professionalism and commitment to the rule of law is vital, absolutely vital, to democracy itself. I challenge you, Unison. Now the question is, are you going to accept that challenge? Now, you don't have to think about that. Are you going to accept that challenge? Unison, will you accept that challenge? Join AFSCME and your other unions around the globe, around the world, accepting that challenge. When labor comes together, we are the baddest ass force on the face of the earth. Are you ready to accept that challenge? That's why. That is why global solidarity really matters. When we share in the struggle, we grow stronger. When we learn from one another, we grow stronger. When we learn that we can fight and we can win, then we grow stronger. And when we stand together, and when we fight together, we win together. Are you ready to win, Unison? Are you ready to win? Are you ready to make your voices heard every single day? Are you ready to join in this battle? I know you are, because you're a badass union yourself, just like AFSCME. We will win this fight. We will win this fight. We need your help to do it. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Yes.
Well, wasn't that amazing? Seriously. Thank you so much. It's just a few gifts from us. I think you can hear we are up for the challenge, and you have our full solidarity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, look at some other things here.
Okay.